Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Mike from the Fantasy Phenom. Apologize about the late start to the show. We ran into some technical difficulties, let's put it that way. So,
Nothing,
still,
nothing to be too concerned about, guys. But we just had something we had to take care of.
yeah. So, alright, well, apparently your picture doesn't want to show. That's cool. So let's
Yes,
just,
and they continue. It's all
yeah,
right.
just,
I'm pretty fucking ugly, man. We can just continue.
just add to it. Why not? So unfortunately, we
It's
don't.
been a day. So I woke up today and I found out that so I use pretty much the Adobe Creative Suite to do all my design software, and I had purchased it through my school email, but found out today that they don't think I'm actually in school anymore. So they what's a good word, revoked it.
Yeah.
I haven't had the time to like go back and talk to customer support, so was not able to update the starting lineups that you see here on the screen the past few days. So we're just gonna wing it.
So I have the lineups pulled up on my. Wow, it really does not want to show your video.
But yeah, I mean, again, like I was saying yesterday, this first week of baseball, I guess the first 2 weeks really, is going to be a different strategy for each individual slate. Um, like when I think probably on Thursday when we have all number 4 starters going against number 4 starters, it's going to be a totally different strategy than it is today. You know.
Yeah, especially
Um,
because you're who's going to be the ace that you find.
right. So if you guys are new to playing baseball, obviously look at Vegas what they are saying for each game. You know, who's the favorites. Try to pick the pitchers if you're not familiar with the pitchers. Pick pitchers that are considered heavy favorites. And like we've been saying, look for predictable strikeout totals, low team totals for the opposition when you're looking at pitchers. Um, those are two really easy things I think that correlate well. Obviously, you want to look at fly ball percentage based on what they give up in the opposition, and you'll get sharper as it goes along. But in the beginning here,
All right. Well,
just try to focus on the little things.
let's look at it from this perspective. So, actually, let's do this. Let's do the matchups. There we go. So, as mentioned, color coded this obviously. We have the matchup, and I want to kind of again show you guys how I use these because I use these almost exclusively to build my lineups today so far. So hit this little sort button. I'm just going to sort by pitcher. So let's look at Wainwright. These are all the batters that the Cubs have eligible versus Wainwright, and this is their matchup WOBA. And again, anything 320 is average. Anything above or below that obviously is above or below average. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, best WOBAs. Kyle Schwarber, below average. Ben Zobrist, right at average. Wilson Contreras, right at average. Everyone else is below average based on the matchup. Now, of course, this is a projected number, so take that into consideration. But I use it as tiebreakers. It's what got me onto Anthony Rizzo as a one-off. I'm not stacking against Wainwright today.
It make I'm sorry, it just makes sense though. I mean, I think in any given matchup, probably the majority of matchups, Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo are going to have
A positive WOBA.
above average,
Yeah.
positive WOBA. So when you're looking at them, you know, you kind of have to look for like excellent WOBA matchup WOBA. You know what I mean? You're not just looking for above average because they are above average. I mean, these guys are both. I mean, Chris Bryant's MVP, Anthony Rizzo MVP candidate. If not, I think he's in the top 3 in MVP voting. So.
Yep.
Again, when you're looking for that matchup, Bubba, you're not looking for average for them. You're looking for because average for them is probably below average.
True.
So you can look at it based on what is their average matchup, Bubba, and is it above average matchup for them, not just for the league.
So another thing I've incorporated into this spreadsheet is pitcher stats. And this is all of the videos. Actually, hold on, Mike. I'm going to try something real quick. I'm going to call you right back and see if that launches the video.
Hey, yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
Working through it as we go. I'll just continue to talk strategy. Again, this is the 2 versus 2. I mean, obviously there's some studs on this slate when it comes to pitchers. You know, I think Cueto and Arrieta could be aces on some teams. So a lot of good pitchers on this slate. You just gotta have to look. It's gonna be similar to yesterday. It's gonna be similar to yesterday, where you're gonna have to look for target these bad pitchers. Like we liked to target Chacin yesterday. He was, like we said, he's like Chacin, man. He's like the starter. He's the equivalent to like a girl you call at like 2 a.m. Like, yo, we need a spot start. Can you just like come over and not suck? It's pretty much what Chacin is.
But he does suck. He's terrible.
Yeah, so he disappoints, exactly. Just like a girl that would just come over and just suck. He disappointed. So that's the kind of guys. That's the kind of guys you're looking at, trying to find, I guess.
Yeah.
And you look at what kind of pitchers on the slate are similar to Chacin. I think you look at the low price guys on the slate, obviously.
Corbin,
I think
Anderson.
you can target. I think you can target Zach Davies in Milwaukee. I don't not really necessarily afraid of him. Obviously, the dude is a young guy. He's got some upside. He had an okay year last year. But it's in this park with Colorado's lineup, man. I think that could be a good place to target. What's one that you like?
Yeah. So here's what I was. Can you see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just talking while you were doing your thing.
So what I have here is all the stats that I'm looking at. Opponents or the pitching average, their WHIP, ERA, K per 9, walks per 9, home runs per 9. Their WOBA, their ground ball to fly ball ratio. Again, anything below 1 is more fly balls. Anything above 1 is more ground balls. The opponent's K percentage and the opponent's run per game. And I've color coded all these, right? Red is good. I'm sorry, red is bad, green is good. And over here I have, in all of these, the worst stat, the worst one out of all these stats, and the pitcher in that matchup. So you look at Clayton Richard has the highest average against him. He has the highest whip against him. Patrick Corbin, and these are 3-year running numbers, remember, 3-year running numbers. So this is not just last year, oh, he had a down year. This is 3-year average. Patrick Corbin, highest ERA. Martin Perez, lowest K per 9. Lance McCullers, highest walks per 9. CC Sabathia gives up the most home runs per 9. Patrick Corbin has the highest WOBA against him. Jake Odorizzi has the lowest ground ball to fly ball ratio, meaning he gives up the most fly balls. The team that strikes out the least would be Angels against Sean Manaea, and Zach Davies is facing the team that has the highest runs per game, and that would be the Rockies. So
basically that's what to avoid, right?
Yeah, these are pitchers you can use 2 ways. 1, pitchers to stack against, and 2, pitchers not to target. So I look at
pitchers not to play, not
exactly.
to target them, but not to actually roster them.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm looking at, off the top of my head, I was looking at Clayton Richard against the Dodgers, Patrick Corbin against the Giants, and Martin Perez. Those 3 were the 3 guys that I thought were going to be the worst pitchers on the slate. And the stats are backing that up, right? Patrick Corbin returned twice on this. Clayton Richard twice. Martin Perez once. Mm-hmm. And you look, all these guys have red all across the board, right? They just red averages, red whips. So that's how you use it. Here's one of the reasons I like Tyler Anderson, Mike, and it's strictly based on strikeouts. His K per 9 is nothing crazy. It's 7.7. That's pretty average based on this slate. But the Brewers strike out the most of any team on this slate. They also don't score the most runs. They are the 3rd lowest team that's scoring runs per game.
Again, but we said it yesterday about Milwaukee is they're an unproven team. I think looking at past statistics especially with Milwaukee is, I mean, obviously it's the only thing we have to go off of, so that's where all these samples are coming from. But I think there is something to be said about this team. I think they're talented, and I don't expect the trend to continue in 2017.
Agree. I'm just saying, if you're looking at, you want to analyze stats, I do expect them to keep striking out a lot.
Yeah,
John,
no, I agree.
the only concern I have with Milwaukee is a lot of their hitters statistically do very well against left-handers, and that is what Tyler Anderson is. So that's why he's cheap. That's why he's a punt play. But I do like him.
Yeah, I think that he's a solid punt play. If I was going to pay down, I think for that strikeout and for going up against a young team in Milwaukee, I think he's definitely leader of the pack there.
Another page I'm looking at here this is the BVP matchups, and so this is every player, right? So Mike Trout, their batting hand, and for all intensive purposes, if they are a switch hitter, it's right or left based on the opposing pitcher. So a switch hitter will bat right-handed versus left-hander and vice versa. So you're not
very rarely do they go away from that unless they're really comfortable batting one side or the other. There's some switch hitters that rarely go away from their dominant side unless it's a plus matchup, but it's rare.
So how to read this, and again, this is key. And I'm gonna tableize all this as well. I'm working on making this easy to understand, and it'll all be incorporated on the website. But for right now, the pitcher hand. This is the batter's average versus this hand. So left-handed in Mike Trout's case. This is the pitcher average versus the batter hand, and that's the case for every single one of these stats. So, and again, these are 3-year rolling numbers. So most of the guys, you'll see a trend, right? Mike Trout over the last 3 years has batted .303 versus left-handers. Sean Manaea, although he's very new, so that stat is kind of misleading. So that's, again, where you look into it. WOBA, you have the... and then over here, these are the ones that I really like as well. So this is how the percentage of balls hit are fly balls for the batter versus left-handers, in Mike Trout's case, and the percentage of balls that are hit that are fly balls for the pitcher. This is his home run per 9 versus that hand of the batter. And this is the percentage of hard contact. So 41% of balls are hit hard against or by Mike Trout. 33.
And that's based on exit velocity.
Yes. So,
which is also a new stat.
Again, just
pretty important though.
And then of course we've gone over this is the ratios, all that. And then BVP still one of my favorite things. So what I do is I look at this as well, and I look at, okay, what teams have had success. So I'm going to look at Corbin, right? So we targeted those 3 pitchers. Let's look at who's had success. Buster Posey, 35 at-bats, 11 hits, 314 average. Now, the one thing that is worrisome, he only has 2 doubles in those 11 hits. So gets on base, not really a lot of extra base potential there. Brandon Belt, average. Eduardo Nunez, only 3 at-bats. Hunter Pence. Talk about ownage. 25 at-bats, 12 hits, 4 of them are home runs. 3 are doubles. 1 is a triple. 8 out of his 12 hits and 25 at-bats have been extra bases against Patrick Corbin. Wow.
Yeah, so you gotta look at this, and so with Hunter Pence, he is projected to probably bat 3rd in the order. Would you say?
Yep.
Before Buster Posey, so him being a big RC plus guy, before Buster Posey in the lineup, and Posey's showing that he doesn't have much slugging, low ISO in that BVP.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be a reason to fade Posey if you're just looking at BVP? Or you could go, they both have BVP, so it could be a good stack.
Yeah, well, see, I can kind of look at it as, okay, if you think Hunter Pence is going to get an extra base hit and Posey just gets a single, that's a single and an RBI most of the time, right?
Yeah, it is.
So there's ways to approach it, right? And that's why I always look more into BVP. And then another one, Brandon Crawford, man. So my stack today is definitely, I like a Crawford, Posey, and Pence stack. And Brandon Crawford is one of those reverse split guys. Does really well versus lefties. He's done well versus Corbin. And then lastly, I don't know if we don't have lineups yet, but if Nick Hundley gets a start, he's lefty guy. He owns lefties, right? So
Where would he play? At catcher and Posey at first?
that's the only thing I'm saying. Yeah, if they decided to sit Brandon Belt, so that's the only. I don't think that happens. Not especially the second game of the season, but if it does, I think you can look at Nick Hundley as a catcher punt today.
Yeah, and going off the stack too, I mean, Giants' highest team total on the day, 4.96. Or I'm sorry, second highest to 4.97 on the Cleveland Indians. But yeah, those are two teams I think you can definitely look at. Again, you said Giants going up against Corbin, heavy favorites. Nice over-under, nice team total. Just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
To look at that game. So you like the BVP, you go to that. You like matchup WOBA, you pick the stats that you like, obviously. Or you just keep it simple and play the guys in the middle of the order. And most of the time, they all somewhat correlate. So,
I brought your screen up so now everyone can see you.
Ayo.
This guy. Mike will have to leave a little early in the show, by the way, just because his school.
Yep.
Okay, so looking at pitchers, Mike, who is
Yeah, let's start with pitcher. We've talked about who to avoid playing.
I want to throw in there, avoid Jake Arrieta. I'm not playing Jake Arrieta today at all.
Might say this.
Why do I
You
say
think
it?
he's a fluke? Yeah.
Bad second half of the year last year. He hasn't been nearly as dominant as he was the year before. I don't see Jake Arrieta as worthy of the highest price on the slate. I think Johnny Cueto outscores Jake Arrieta today. Jake is in St. Louis. Rivalry there. Johnny Cueto in a hitter's ballpark in Arizona, yes, but I think Johnny Cueto has better stuff than Jake Arrieta, and that is no homer.
No, I totally agree with you. I agree that I just wanted to see what your rationale was. I think most of baseball minds tend to agree that until proven otherwise that season was somewhat fluky.
And not even fluky.
But,
I mean, he's a good pitcher. I just think
it's not
he's not
fluky
that good.
because
He's not that
he
good.
put together like probably one of the best stretches ever.
Yeah.
Over like a second or like over like it was like a 19 start 15 start stretch ever. Something like that if you look at the numbers. So again, you got to pay up for him here. I think people are just gonna love that they can play actual studs on DraftKings today as far as batters. So they're gonna be like, yes, I don't want to pay for Arrieta. I want to put actual hitters in my lineups. Because yesterday was pretty crappy having to play a bunch of guys that you didn't feel confident about because you had to roster two studs at pitcher. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I'd rather play Cueto. $200 difference. Again, heavy favorites. San Francisco's heavy favorites in this game. They're not the heaviest favorite on the day. I think the Dodgers will be the heaviest favorite of the day again. Mm-hmm. But second is Cueto and the Dodgers. And the Giants. So if you're just playing favorites, I think that's the way to go. I think the Cubs and Cardinals tend to keep it close, generally speaking. And the Giants, they want to get one back here for sure before they got to go down to the next guy.
Question for you, Mike. So Leroy asked, when you're stacking a team, are you worrying about which side of the plate your batter is on, or are you just picking a 1 through 5 lineup regardless of what side?
Oh, you got to look at look at
splits.
Obviously handedness, but you also have to remember these managers are playing their best guys based on handedness. I mentioned it the other day. Like, these lineups are built based on handedness. Platoon players play because of that,
Yep.
So, yeah, even if, like, there's an everyday player that, for example, we said the other day, like, I think I don't know if Ellsbury will bat fifth, going up against a left-hander, right?
Yep.
So, when he goes up against a right-hander, he's batting fifth, but he might move to, what I'm trying to say is they might move to a different spot in the order because of that. So, lineups change because of this. Players play because of this. So, there's definitely a correlation between the spots in the order and handedness. But yeah, I definitely have to look at it. Like, if you're targeting a left-handed pitcher, generally speaking, if you're going to stack, you're going to try and stack right-handed batters unless there's reverse splits, and you can find all that here on the spreadsheet. Reverse splits meaning that a left-handed batter plays better against a left-handed pitcher, and vice versa.
Okay, McCullers and Maeda, 8-8 and 8-6 on FanDuel.
McCullers and that sounds like could be a cool band.
McCullers and Maeda.
McCullers and yeah, these two guys, I think, probably the two guys that I'm looking at here. I like the fact that they are both right on the same price. I think Maeda is obviously the guy that's more likely to get a win. Obviously, the highest favorite going against the Padres. This Dodgers hitting is no joke.
Yep.
But I think you can look at Lance McCullers just based on strikeouts alone. He's probably the highest K/9 guy in the slate. He also is going up against one of the highest strikeout teams on the slate in Seattle. So that correlation there, the fact that Seattle's lefties are all pretty crappy, besides Kyle Seager. They don't really have guys that they can spot start against righties. So, so yeah, I don't know. I think McCullers could be in line for a good day. They're favored as well. Houston at home.
Yeah, I actually tend to like Seattle in this game, but McCullers has nasty stuff. That there's no doubt about that. I mean, you look at his highest strikeout per 9 on the slate, but also the highest walks on the slate, and so that's concerning, right? You wonder which McCullers are you going to get. He has an amazing ground ball to fly ball ratio, almost 2 ground balls for every fly ball, which is exactly what you want to see.
Mm-hmm. He had a good spring too, and he's on a breakout. I think he's in line for a breakout year. I know in season long I drafted him. I reached for him in most of to get him as my 2 starter. I just like his stuff. Like you said, is nasty. Yeah. What about his ground ball to fly ball? Because we know that there's some big swinging bats in the middle of that order. Is that concerning to you?
That's what I worry about. I actually can get behind a small Seattle stack tonight. I like Cano. Nelson Cruz is always dangerous, and then Kyle Seager.
Yeah, but again, this park definitely benefits left-handed batters more. So I think Seager would be the guy that you look at.
And Cano.
Cano's a righty, so it doesn't. I mean, I guess you look at him, but
no, he's not. Cano's a lefty.
Oh, you're right. He is a lefty.
You're a Yankees fan. Come on,
yeah.
Mike.
I sounded so confident, too. No, yeah. Well, still, or I guess, no, this park benefits right-handed more. Doesn't it? Minute Maid? Is it still Minute Maid?
It has the short porch
on
left, yeah. Or not a short, but a small.
So it'll benefit right-handed batters more. The park, at least.
Yeah, but him being... I don't know. I still like Cano and Seager, but... I guess another punt option you can look at is Matt Shoemaker. I'm personally not on him. He has terrible home-away splits, but...
Who's this?
Matt Shoemaker on LA. But Oakland is pretty bad, bat-wise, and Oakland is a hitter's park. I'm sorry. A pitcher's park.
Yeah, so Shoemaker kind of came out of the dead last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he was terrible. Like the whole first half, awful.
I'm pretty sure they sent him down at some point, and now he's their 2 starter. So obviously going up against Oakland, there's potential for anything to happen in this game. He's the favorite, obviously, with the Angels. I don't know. I don't find myself in the mid-range today. I don't think you need to. And definitely at Slate, though, I could see you building your lineups before you put your pitcher in there. And there's definitely slates you have to go one way or the other based on if you really like a guy, especially on FanDuel. But on DraftKings, I found myself today, locking a pitcher in and then building my lineups before I decided what I was going to do with my second pitcher spot, whether I was going to try and punt it or just based on how much money I had left.
That makes sense. See, I think Iwakuma is a great pitcher to stack against today, actually. Let's look at BVP here. And I want to show you. So this is the Astros BVP versus Iwakuma. Jose Altuve, 38 at bats, has 16 hits, 1 home run, 6 doubles. So he has 7 extra base hits and 16 at bats. I like that. Carlos Correa, in a small sample size, has done well versus him as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to look at anything on here except for Altuve. I think you can consider Reddick.
Yep. And then Beltran, I can't ignore Beltran either. I mean, if I'm being honest, I know it's only 12 at bats, 12 plate appearances, 11 at bats, but 6 hits and 11 at bats. I can't ignore that, especially 3 doubles in those and a home run. So 4 extra base hits out of 6 hits. Definitely not
Again,
a.
I still consider BVP to be a trap.
I know you do.
Everything just looks too good, and you're just like, I just want to play these guys because they in 11 at bats he has a home run and 3 doubles, but it just feels like the more I continue to do it, the more it feels like a trap.
I'll still continue to disagree with you. However, there is extreme caution in BVP. Do not look at a small sample size most of the time, right?
And again, and even if it does happen and it does work out, I feel like it's not because of that reason, you know.
I look at everything encompassing. And so, for example, right, like you see George Springer here, 21 at bats, only 4 hits. I don't like that, but I like the offense he's in, and I like his spot in the lineup. He's hitting leadoff. Probably going to get 5 at bats today. I will roster George Springer because of that. Even though,
But I like the Houston guys because I like the spot, man. I like McCullers going for them. I like the fact that they're at home. I think they're heavy favorites in this game going up against Seattle. So I like a Houston stack just because this is they have the 3rd highest team total on the day. I think you got to look there.
Iwakuma doesn't have great stats either. 3.75 ERA, only a 7.3 strikeout, a 1.17 home runs per 9. I see Astros getting at least 2 today, maybe 3. Ground ball to fly balls, okay, 1.4, but I'm all over Iwakuma. If you look at the Woba matchup, let's look at that. So, look at all these are above average except for Alex Bregman and Nori Aoki and Brian McCann, or at average. So, Jose Altuve, 3.42. His BVP Woba is 4.26. Carlos Correa, 4.68. George Springer, obviously a bad one, but his average is out at 3.19. Right, Carlos Beltran, amazing Woba. So, I mean, like I said,
I like 3 through 6. I think I will continue like 3 through 6 from Houston all season long.
Yeah. Another pitcher, so we were looking at, let's look at Colorado, because I like going against Zach Davies. Now, there is no sample size here, so you would disregard BVP entirely, right? 3 at-bats at most for any player. So, don't even look at BVP. Let's go to pitcher stats and look at what Zach Davies does. Right? 3.9 ERA, 7.2 K. Not a good correlation at all there. That's bad.
Yeah.
Rockies, of
and
course.
Again, this is a new pitcher, man, so.
Rockies score the most runs per game over the last 3 years, so. Definitely, I like the Colorado stack. If you look at the batter matchups, let's look at that.
It's not cheap, though.
It is not at all.
I think you can target lefties against this guy.
However, Nolan Arenado is a guy that has reverse splits. Again, he does really, really well versus righties compared to lefties. Charlie Blackmon, right at average on the WOBA. Carlos Gonzalez, I think you can target as well.
Yep, I like that. I like those 3 guys, and then obviously LeMahieu's sandwiched in between. So if you don't want to pay up for LeMahieu, you can go like a one-off with somebody else at second base.
Here's a cheap.
I don't know that second base is a good spot for one-offs today, but
yeah, here's 2 guys.
You can just go Altuve.
Gerardo Parra and Tony Walters. I love Walters as a punt today, and then Parra. Granted, it's 1 game, but I went back and watched. He put wood on that ball. That dude was making solid contact all game. So I like where Parra's bat is right now. I like it against Davies, so definitely can look there.
Yeah, like I was saying, so if you don't want to play LeMahieu in that stack, which I don't think you could. I think there's some players. Just talked about Altuve. Obviously, that's going to be expensive, so I don't know that you can do that as the one-off. But I somewhat like Rougned Odor, 2 home runs last game, playing in Texas. I think that could be a nice little cheap one-off in that stack if you didn't want to go a bunch of Texas guys against Carrasco.
Yeah.
Who's another guy? I think Starlin Castro. He started off really strong last season. Had 3 hits yesterday. Perhaps he's in line for another strong start. I think this is a good spot for Castro. He could be a cheap one-off if you don't want to stack the Yanks against Odorizzi.
All right, so let me ask you this, Mike, because I know how much you hate BVP. Look at Evan Longoria here. He owns an OBP of 500 against CC, an average of 400. In 86 plate appearances, has 29 hits, 13 singles, 9 doubles, 7 home runs, 13 walks, and 16 RBIs.
Yeah, I mean, there's exceptions, obviously, and this is definitely one of them.
Okay.
86 plate appearances is pretty much the equivalent to an entire month of playing. So you look at it this way. I mean, obviously, this is over the course of years. This is over the course of 10 years of playing. So obviously, these two guys are totally different players at this point. Longoria is a guy that is gone. He goes up looking for a pitch now. He's not like I don't know how you could. What I'm trying to say is, but he goes up there looking for his pitch. Sabathia, he's reinvented himself as well. So I'd be curious to see what that BVP is like over the last 3 years in comparison to the 7 before it. But again, 7 home runs, 9 doubles, a weighted on base percentage of .535. Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't go there. I like the Longoria and Ricky Weeks 2-man stack today.
So go into more detail about Ricky Weeks, because I think he's a guy that not everyone's looking at.
Yeah, dude, Ricky Weeks is 2.3K. He's batting cleanup today against the Yankees. Left-hander CC Sabathia. Obviously, CC is a guy that's going to change up speeds on you. So I don't necessarily love it. This guy is definitely someone that targets the fastball and can hit it a long way. I'm pretty sure he's got. I don't know if we could look it up your spreadsheet, but you look at hard contact numbers against lefties. Ricky Weeks is going to be in the top, which is strange. Like
against lefties, let me see. I do have it.
Yeah, if we can get hard contact average against lefties.
Hold on.
I imagine it's going to be pretty high. I don't know but either way, it's a worthy punt. The guy is.
So Weeks, his average versus lefties is only 259.
His batter WOBA is 377.
Hard contact versus lefties 34%.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Pretty solid. I like that punt again. Batting behind Longoria as well with those amazing numbers.
So Longoria is my lock at almost every one of my lineups at third base, by the way. So everywhere I'm all over him. Another one.
He just kills the Yankees in general. I think he's probably got a positive BVP against every Yankees starter.
He kills the AL
just
East.
crushes it.
He kills the AL East.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's look at the other guy I was looking at, Martin Perez. So again, this is another one. There's not a sizable BVP. I don't think you really look here. If you want to get really cute, I mean, Carlos Santana, 5 at-bats. Lindor 3. I don't think you know what, I'm not even going to look at it. But here's what I do look at. Let's look at matchups. So Carlos Santana and Michael Brantley are my 2 favorite guys from this game. I like Encarnacion as well, he's a left-handed pitcher. But here's the reason I love Michael Brantley. Dude bats 300 versus opposing lefties. And so let's look at this right here. He's actually not here, so let's look at Brantley. Batting average of 300 versus opposing lefties. He has an OBP of 360, a WOBA of 351. So, I mean, everything, he hits lefties well. I'm not worried about that. Let's look at Santana. So, Santana does only hit 269. He has an OBP, though, of 376. That is almost 100 point. That is over 100 points increase. So
yeah, he walks a hell of a lot.
Yeah, and being leadoff behind or in front of all those other guys, I'll take a walk and a run. That's 6 points right there.
What about Lindor? People that are considering stacking this game.
I like Lindor as well. Let's look at him. Lindor 304 versus lefties. OBP of 347, a WOBA of 344. Hard contact, not great, 25%, but get on base. Like I said, if you just if you want to stack and go Santana, Lindor, Brantley, those top 3 guys, if they keep the chain moving.
Do you have a fly ball percentage on Perez? Because that's something I would look at with Encarnacion. The dude gets the ball in the air.
I do actually. Where's it at? So.
Because he could be a good one-off if you don't want to stack. I think he's in line. I mean, he's got 40 home run pop, obviously.
Encarnacion is.
And he's playing in Texas.
Against righties, Martin Perez fly ball percentage is only 25%.
Yeah, that's not too good.
It's not great. He's definitely a ground ball pitcher. He does a good job of doing that.
But something I look at, obviously you're looking at the home run. Anybody playing in Texas that's not on the Rangers, any away team coming to Texas, you got to look at their home run guys there and look at the numbers that favor home run guys. Hard contact, ISO, and matchup WOBA and pitcher fly ball.
Yeah.
I think those are the things you got to look at for home run guys to try and predict a home run and in a good ballpark.
And lastly, let's look at Clayton Richard because we talked about fading him and stacking against him. Adrian Gonzalez, exact same boat as Buster Posey, man. Great numbers. Granted, it's an 18% or 18 at bat sample size. All 10 hits are singles. All 10 hits are singles. I don't know how great that is for BVP or for DFS. Something to consider. The only other guy I'd say that has a sizable sample size is Franklin Gutierrez. The Dodgers struggle against lefties last year. Franklin Gutierrez does really, really well versus lefties. That's the reason they brought him in. Let's look at that number.
And again, I don't agree that that's a sizable sample size, but I guess we'll continue to agree to disagree.
So 293 versus lefties, OBP of 368, a WOBA of 389 versus lefties. That is good. 400 is excellent, remember. So what that tells you right there, even though his batting average is 293, what this tells you is a large percentage of his hits, or a sizable amount, go for extra bases. That's what that.
Yeah, he's only 3K on DraftKings. I think he will be a nice guy to get you some. If you want to go one off there, I don't mind that at all.
Look at this against lefties, 50%. Jesus, 50% of his hits are hard contact.
Yeah, wow.
Against lefties, so. Franklin Gutierrez is a guy to look at today, guys. I'm telling you, you can do a Dodger stack is going to be super chalky. He's not going to be chalky. He's not going to be in a lot of those stacks.
Should be.
He should be. But I guarantee you people aren't going to look at him. They're going to look at Seager, and well-deserved. Seager, Agon, Justin Turner, who, by the way, is another reverse split guy, does a lot better versus righties. Almost 100 batting points higher versus righties. So Justin Turner is fade-worthy for me today. But you want to look at a Dodger stack, I'm telling you, man. Franklin Gutierrez, if he gets the start, is a guy to look at.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think he is. I think he's projected about 5th. That's what I just saw.
Yeah, I mean,
in front of
Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson. Yep.
Okay.
Jock Peterson.
Seager will probably bat 3rd again.
Mm-hmm.
And then Agon.
I think they have Turner. I think they have Turner at 3rd.
Who's 2nd?
Yeah, Seager at 2nd.
Okay, so Seager.
This is what I'm seeing right now: is Forsythe, Seager, Turner, Gonzalez, Gutierrez.
That's another guy I'd like, dude. I can get behind Forsythe today.
Yeah, especially if he's leading off.
That's what I'm saying. If you look here, let's look at the WOBA matchups. Almost every player is in a above average matchup against Richard, man. Corey Seager, 339.
Yeah, I'm looking at this now. I literally just went to my lineup to see how that would fit. Because that would let me. Because I have one lineup where I have 2 studded pitchers and one where I'm punting a pitcher. I'm seeing if I can't use that to pay up.
Is Yasiel Puig in the projected lineup?
That's what I'm seeing here at 8 again.
He's a punt option, man.
Sure.
He can.
I like Puig this year.
I do too. Look at this WOBA. So BVP, I mean, again, small sample size, but the matchup WOBA is really good. Clayton Richards' pitcher WOBA is 341. That is terrible.
So what you're saying is we could probably go Puig
Gutierrez.
I was thinking going at 8, 1, 2. Yeah.
Even go
with Forsythe and
Seager.
And Seager.
Yeah. And then I would skip Turner, maybe go Agon, or you can go Gutierrez. I really think you can do that.
I was thinking Gutierrez and Peterson too. Could be a two-man.
Yeah.
The problem I have with that is that takes up 2 of your outfield spots, and
True. Yeah, and they're not together.
the outfield is pretty stacked today.
There's a ton, yeah.
Like, yeah.
For what it's worth, Josh just gave me a stat. Granted, it is via Fangraphs. 89% chance of home run versus Iwakuma today. 20% higher than any other pitcher on the slate, which makes sense being that it's in Houston. So,
Those.
I just want to. Josh couldn't make the video, so I do want to read off his plays for the day. In cash, he says Maeda, Shoemaker, and Arrieta are the pitchers to go after. In GPP, and I like this pick, Carrasco. He is going to be. They have mentioned innings limit, but no one's going to be on him. He can see CC Sabathia, Tyler Anderson, and McCullers. All those guys make sense. His favorites are to stack Yankees right-handed bats, Chicago bats, Houston bats, and Colorado bats, which we mentioned Colorado. For GPP only, he likes San Francisco right-handed bats, Angels right-handed bats, and Cleveland right-handed bats. By position, his favorite plays, pitcher Maeda, Arrieta, Sabathia. At catcher, he likes Sanchez, Gaddis, Posey, and Contreras. At first base, he likes Rizzo, Reynolds, and then Carter or Bird, whoever starts, or both if they both do. Second base, Altuve, Baez, and Castro. Baez will be starting today. Zobrist is not playing, or not starting at least. Third base, Longo, Nolan, and Bregman. I don't like the Bregman call, but he has been doing well. So, shortstops, Story, Correa, and Russell. In the outfield, finally, Trout, Springer, Schwarber, Matt Holliday, Chris Davis, Carlos Gonzalez, Charlie Blackmon, and Aaron Judge. So,
I like it.
if you guys followed that, those are Josh's plays of the day. Anything else you really want to mention here, Mike? I mean, I think let's review real quick. So, pitchers, give me your pitchers that you're fading. Or, sorry, how about this? Let's do it this way. Give me your top tier pitcher, your mid tier, and then another, just one off.
All right, let me go pull up pricing if we're going to do it by tiers.
I'd imagine you're going to go McCullers as your top tier.
I don't know. I like Maeda and McCullers. One of my lineups has both of them in it. So it's a toss-up. I think, like Josh just mentioned on his picks, Maeda is more of a cash play, more of a safe guide, get the win, obviously. But McCullers has the strikeout upside. If his pitches are on today, man, like I think is going to outscore Maeda.
Yeah, especially if he gets strikeouts.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if he comes in on and can't be hit, obviously can't be hit then. But you know what I'm saying? Like what Carlos Martinez did against the Cubs, right? Like he just came in and was just feeling it, right?
Yep.
So that happens with McCullers. Then obviously he's a better play, but that's more of like a GPP stance. So I'm gonna lean McCullers just for that reason. Mid-price guy. It's tough. I think. So what are we saying? Like above 6K, between 8 and 6. You got Odorizzi, Iwakuma, Minaya, Wainwright, and Sabathia and Davies. I think I lean. Wainwright. Actually, no, because they're playing the Cubs. I think I would have to lean Minaya against the Angels, just based on matchup alone. But I don't really like any of those guys, so I don't really feel comfortable picking one, you know?
Yeah. I like Anderson the most.
Anderson. Well, he's a cheap guy.
Yeah.
I thought you meant mid-price.
Oh.
But yeah, if you go cheap, yeah, I like Anderson. I don't know, for some reason I could get behind Patrick Corbin at minimum salary.
Not doing it. But
definitely not a play you feel confident about, right?
Yeah.
I just feel like he's got some upside this year, for sure.
He's not a bad pitcher. I mean, he's a former All-Star. Just not my Not the guy I'm going to.
Yeah, you're going up against a heavy favorite, so it's not really an ideal spot. That's the reason why he's only 5,000 on DraftKings. But if you do that, you can get a pretty much a Houston and Rockies stack if you wanted to.
True.
You probably still have money left over.
So me personally, obviously Maeda is my favorite. I like Johnny Cueto today, actually, a lot.
Yeah, I like Cueto too.
So if I pay up, I have one lineup with Cueto, I'll have one with McCullers just for upside, and then one with Maeda. The other three right now have Tyler Anderson in them.
I have two lineups. One has Cueto and Maeda. One has one has Maeda and McCullers. One has McCullers and Anderson.
Okay. I think I'm fading really all of the mid tier. Not looking at anyone below Maeda or above Anderson.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
There's really nothing to look at there.
If we're looking at stacks, give me your 3 favorite stacks by team.
Yeah, I think the Rockies, the Astros, and are my 2 favorite like big stacks, like going 1 through 4 or getting 4 guys. Like I like 1 through 4 in with Colorado in Miller Park. I like 3 through 6 for Houston at Minute Maid. Then I like 2-man. I mentioned Longoria and Ricky Weeks. I think that's a solid 2-man. I think Cleveland, you can find something in there. I think you could probably go those top 4, or you can go Santana, Lindor, Brantley, Encarnacion.
Love a Cleveland stack.
Again, these aren't cheap stacks though. So you have to pick. You can't pick 2. So you have to pick one. I think if I had to pick one out of the rest, I'm gonna side with the Rockies lefties.
Dude,
and Arenado, Blackman, Arenado, and Cargo.
So here's what I'll give you guys for my favorite stacks. Number 1 is going to be Houston, hands down. Love that stack. It is pricey. Number 2, I really, really like a Giant stack, and it is also the cheapest stack on the slate, in my opinion. That is worthy of one. Hunter Pence is 2,500. Brandon Crawford is 2,400, and Buster Posey is 3,300. You can even throw in a Joe Panic if you want to, or an Eduardo Nunez. I like Nunez a lot right now. So that is a really, really cheap stack that will allow you to pay up if you want a Cueto or a McCullers or a Maeda. And then lastly, I love Indians. I like Carlos Santana, and I'm only going to go probably 3 deep on that one, and that's going to be Santana, Brantley, and Lindor. You can't get Santana and Encarnacion, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm talking about cheap stacks. So if I had to pick a cheap stack, San Fran is not the same prices here. Pence at 4K, Buster Posey at 4K, Crawford at 3.4, Nunez at 3.7, Panic at 3.5. So I guess that's cheap in comparison to the rest of the slate, but in comparison to FanDuel, I don't think comparably they're the same,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for cheap, I'm looking at the Yankees for cheap. I'm looking at Bird, Holiday, Ellsbury, Castro, Sanchez even.
I think a lot of people are going to be off Sanchez, which I kind of like. He had a bad game.
Well, Sanchez isn't really involved in a cheap stack, so you like Bird at 2.8, Holiday at 3.2, Ellsbury at 3, and Starlin Castro at 2.8. That's a pretty cheap 4-man stack. Even Aaron Judge at 3K. I think he could be a good one-off. Gary Sanchez could be a good one-off. Trying to get that home run.
Yeah. Pitchers we're avoiding, obviously, I think we mentioned all the mid-tier guys, really.
Yeah, I'm thinking off the Cubs, too, going up against Wainwright. I think that if you're looking at expensive stacks, it's just easier to go, like we said, against Perez or against Iwakuma or against Corbin or against what's that dude's name? Plays for Milwaukee. Can't even think. Davies.
Yeah.
I'd much rather target those guys with my expensive stacks than Adam Wainwright.
True. All right. Well, do you guys have any questions for us? Open the floor up, obviously.
I think for value, again, I talked about Ricky Weeks.
Yep.
We talked about Dodgers with what's his name, Gutierrez. Forsythe as well off the Dodgers. Don't sleep on this guy, Ryan Schimpf, either, though.
Dude, the guy can hit.
Hunter Renfroe, Ryan Schimpf is going to be. I think they'll combine for 60 home runs this year.
Bold call, Mike.
Throwing Will Myers too. Maybe it'll be 100.
I love Will Myers, man. I love Will Myers.
They got some cheap power, so just kind of keep an eye on that. See what happens with their pricing, and when they get into these good matchups. Obviously, they're not going to play the Dodgers all year long, so that's just a team that I'm looking at on the come up. I think Milwaukee's on the same way. I think they've got a lot of talent and a lot of power. I expect Travis Shaw to get close to 30 home runs playing every day in Miller Park. He'll stay cheap for a little while.
Bro, Eric Thames is I watched that game too. That dude.
Yeah, dude's got a big bat.
I like his swing, yeah. So someone to watch for. He was in one of the winning GPP lineups.
I was talking about him too that day. I just didn't have the balls to play him. I think he'll be a platoon though going forward.
By the way,
because they got Jesus Aguilar who had 7 home runs in the spring. I think that they're going to platoon those guys.
Yeah, one thing I'm also monitoring, and I'll do this for you guys as well, is I'm looking at the perfect lineup every single night. And I guess the biggest takeaway, I don't really think you can look at it as a versus perspective, right? So what team gave up the perfect lineup to the second baseman? Because it's not like basketball where that's dependent on position. But the only stat I am really looking at, or position I should say, is what team is giving up that perfect or the perfect lineup spot to the opposing pitcher. That's going to be the spot I think you really got to look for, and I'm going to keep track of that all year long. And hopefully by maybe the second or third month, we'll have an idea of what teams are, in addition to the strikeout stats. And I really want to see if they correlate.
Was there a stack in there? That perfect lineup? I imagine Dodgers stack.
Let's pull it up actually. So on 4-2, it was marked. Well, obviously, I mean that's a 3-game slate. So yeah, there was Grandal, Seegers, and Peterson all in that stack. So yep.
Yeah.
On the second, there was Contreras. No, there was Grichuk, Diaz, and Martinez.
Yeah.
And then there was Contreras as a one-off, AJ Pollock, Eduardo Nunez, Joe Panic. So, I mean, you got a stack of 3.
Which we talked about.
Yep, you got a stack of 3, you got a stack of 2, and then you have one-offs. On this slate, you had a stack of 3. You had... And then
Dan asking you go 3 2-mans. Yeah, you can go 3 2-mans. Definitely. Best stacks from DraftKings with the pitchers being McCullers and Maeda. So, yeah, what I have my lineup with McCullers and Maeda. Again, I was high on Colorado. So I have Blackman, LeMahieu, Cargo, and Arenado. Mm-hmm. Oh no, that's the wrong lineup. Sorry, I have I went Blackman, LeMahieu, Cargo, and don't have so that's 1 through 3, and then in order to get Longoria in, I got rid of Arenado. Okay. So in this lineup with Maeda and McCullers, I have a 3-man, which is Cargo, Blackman, LeMahieu, and then I have a 2-man with Weeks and Longoria, and then I have I have a 2-man with Santana and Lindor, and then I punted Derek Norris. So I guess you can make that considered a 3-man stack.
Yeah, Derek Norris kills lefties.
Yeah, I punted Derek Norris at catcher against
CC.
CC, yep. So yeah, that's 2 2-mans, a punt, and a 3-man. Right. But you could easily play. I mean, I'm gonna play around with it. I just went with I wanted Colorado, but I could easily just take those guys out and say, okay, I want Cleveland. I want Santana I want Lindor and Brantley. See what happens. Or I could go, hey, I want to go Houston. I want Correa, Altuve, and Beltran. You know, you just gotta play around with it, see what you can do.
Absolutely. It's all about lineup construction. And obviously, again, very different from FanDuel and DraftKings, right? I'm building on FanDuel.
Yeah, and I think it's more important to build multiple lineups in baseball than it is in other sports because of the high degree of variance. You could have this great stack do absolutely nothing, and you decided to spend your entire bankroll on that one stack, you know?
Yep.
So you definitely, multiple stacks is the way to go. Unfortunately, it's not the smartest strategy because you're looking to be in the top 5% of a GPP. If you play 4 completely different lineups in the same GPP, you're going to lose money unless one of them really hits.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So it's tough. But yeah, man, I think that's all I got. I mean, you got any value you want to throw in there? We talked the pitchers to death.
My value is a giant stack, really. Brandon Crawford, 2,400. Hunter Pence is 2,500 on FanDuel. That's crazy. I love that value.
Yeah, that's a cheap stack.
What else do I have? Let me look here. Eduardo Nunez is 2,700. I mentioned Tyler Anderson. In the outfield, I think you can look at Matt Holliday as value. I agree with Josh on that one. Josh
Reddick, I like this Yankee stat for value.
Josh Reddick is 2,700.
I don't know. You behind me with this whole Ricky Weeks thing, batting cleanup? I feel like that's pretty solid.
Mad value. Gerardo Parra is 2,700. I like that. Don't sleep on Nomar Mazara. Dude's batting third in that Texas lineup.
Ricky Weeks had over 1,000 OPS against lefties in 2016.
Wow. Oh, here's another guy, Mike. Brennan Guyer is going to start for Cleveland today in the 6-hole.
Interesting. This guy's got some pop.
Yep, 2,200. So that is a major punt as well.
I'm trying to find him on DraftKings. Guyer.
Looks like we almost have all the confirmed lineups. Buster Posey's in the 4-hole.
31.
Jose Altuve's batting third. Longoria's third. Hunter Pence is third. Brantley is third. We don't have the Dodgers lineup yet. We do have the Yankees. Sanchez is second.
Which was surprising to me. I thought they would drop him to third.
Eduardo Nunez is sixth. So you talk about a giant stack. You have, you have Posey at 4. Brandon Crawford is 5th. So you can go Hunter Pence at 3, Posey at 4, Crawford at 5, Nunez at 6. I talked about that stack. Literally right there.
Oh, wait. Rizzi's a righty, too. I'm thinking against lefties, the Yankees are going to drop
Sanchez
to third, and I think they're going to have to drop Ellsbury, I think, to 9. I think that would make most sense. He just doesn't hit with lefties well. But they don't, I don't know, what do they do with Ellsbury? I think in the 9-hole that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, who do you like more? Do you like Gutierrez or Guyer? Same price, outfield. Actually, yeah, same price.
You know what?
On DraftKings.
I actually like Gutierrez more.
Better pitching matchup, worse ballpark, better spot in the order, better lineup. Actually, I don't know who's a better lineup, but I think it's a worthy toss-up depending on who you're stacking.
Definitely a worthy toss-up.
I think Guyer has more pop than Gutierrez.
I agree with that. Any other questions here? Longoria or Nunez at third base for cash? Longoria.
Yeah.
Just based off history versus the Yankees.
You mentioned you told them. Josh's picks.
Yep. to mention Josh's picks.
Yeah. Josh is high on Longo as well.
Yeah, loves Longo.
He has Story in here too, which I didn't mention as part of my Colorado stack. But yeah, obviously Story in play, in Minute Maid. I absolutely like that.
Any other questions? Let's see. Altuve or Schimpf? Altuve. Geyer or Weeks? Geyer.
Yeah, it's tough for me. I have weeks with Longoria in one lineup.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your stack, right?
Yeah, again, it's just a 2-man stack that I have.
Anything else? Just joined. Any Beltron love? Yes, I like Beltron today. He's hitting 5th as well, if I'm not mistaken. Best third base DraftKings play, Mike.
But the best, I would have to say Arenado, right? I mean,
yeah,
he's the top priced player, but he's in a good spot. I like Arenado today. So I just realized that I could do this. So what do you like better? Do you like Altuve and Story or LeMahieu and Lindor? That's tough.
LeMahieu and Lindor. Yep.
Yeah, I don't. That's a really tough one, dude. I might have to play both.
Both stacks?
No, just one lineup with LeMahieu and Lindor, one lineup with
that's what I'm
Story
saying.
and
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Both stacks.
It's just picking a different. It's just picking a different Colorado guy in that stack.
Chris Davis again today. Yeah, against Matt Shoemaker. Definitely look at him.
Oh yeah, I'll say the same thing about Odor. I'd go right back to him, man.
Corey says he has Altuve and Story.
Yeah, that's what he wants. Yeah, I don't know. I think I like that better too. I think Altuve over LeMahieu is enough for me to go Story over Lindor.
Captain Jenks says, "Do we not like Mike Trout today?" Mike Trout is Mike Trout, right? I mean, I don't think he really needs any. Mike Trout is always in a good matchup just because of how good he is, but he's a salary cap eater if he busts. If he doesn't get a home run or do something, to warrant that 5K price tag, whew. That hurts.
I gotta jump off, man. Unless we're gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah, you're good. We're about to wrap it up, so.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll appreciate you guys tuning in as always. We will. I'll talk to you guys in Slack. I will see you there. Mike's gonna go to class and talk to you guys a little later.
Yep, no lock show today, guys, for NBA.
So, all right, guys. We'll have a good one. Have a good day at class, Mike.
All right, thanks, man.